Companies want to project a good image of their organization, and of course they want to do so. They also want to build a good identity, and they want to maintain and protect a strong reputation. And why wouldn't one day so? When the people in the society have a good impression about it, maybe they want to become employees. If they have a good impression about a company, they might want to work for it. Or at least they will keep buying the product, because if you think good about a company, you have a feeling of trust towards that company. You trust it, you trust its products, therefore you buy them. Also, if you are an investor, you will want your money to be with that company because you trust them, you have trust in their ability to sell because they already have a good image in the society. So you know as an investor that your money will come back with a profit. So there are many advantages for a company to have a good image, identity and reputation within a society. And because one of the most powerful way, if not the best way, to have a good identity, image and reputation in a society for a company is to have a good communication with the stakeholders. In this video we talk about company branding, identity, image and reputation. So if you want to learn everything you need to know about it, keep watching this video. If you watched my previous videos, you already know the differences between the shareholders and the stakeholders, and you know that a company has multiple stakeholders groups. You also know that every company wants to have a good image and a good reputation within a society, and the first step and the key step to be made in this direction is for the company to communicate consistently the same message that will be perceived as authentic, unique and distinctive for the corporate brand identity. If you don't know yet the difference between shareholders and stakeholders, I've created another video about it that you can watch clicking on the info card right here, or you can also find it in the links in the description below. First of all, let's see the definitions and let's get a grasp of these two concepts of corporate identity and corporate image. The corporate identity is the profile and values communicated by an organization. The corporate image is the immediate set of associations of an individual in response to one or more signals or messages from or about a particular organization at a single point in time. And let's understand these definitions. When we talk about the corporate image, we talk about how a random person, let's say on the street, would react if he would encounter any type of communications from that company. So if I walk on the street and I see a logo of a company, let's say Nike, my immediate set of associations, so what I think about, is shoes. That's just for me, because in my head the impressions about this company is that they manufacture and sell shoes. But for other people, they may think about t-shirts, because Nike also produces and sells t-shirts. They may also think about football. They may also think about somebody that is sponsored by Nike. So the image of a company is how well the communicated messages from the company are perceived by the random person, so the target audience, and how they have in their head the images and the set of associations. What you think about when you hear about that company. So as a sum up, the image of the company is what I think about of what any person would think about, different impressions, when they hear or see anything that is related to a company. When we talk about the corporate identity, we talk about the values of the company and how well they are communicated towards the stakeholders. So if I think about the Nike company, again, not because I see it on the street, but just if I think about a company, I remember that they have auto-lacing shoes for people with moving disabilities. So in my head I think, oh, that's actually very nice of them that they thought about this category of people and they went on helping them. So that is a value, that is, let's say, help within the community, a value that Nike transmitted through its messages. So basically, the image of the company is projected by the organization through its communication campaigns done over time, and if those communications campaigns were done correctly, then they also project the identity of the company. But remember, they are not the same. And they are not the same because they might communicate their values in the best way they find and they think about, But what I get in my head is also with my set of values. So I perceive their messages in my personal way, and that's how I create the image, my personal image about that company, and we call it corporate image, but their identity might be different if I perceive them, let's say, in a unique way. So we understand now that corporate communication is not just about exchanging information from the company to the stakeholders. It is also about crafting and building and consistently maintaining an image and the reputation of a company through communicating messages. And let's go on and see the advantages, the clear and exact advantages a company would have if they do this communication job correctly and they have a good and positive image. Distinctiveness. A corporate image may help stakeholders find or recognize an organization. A consistently communicated corporate image creates awareness, triggers recognition, and may also instill confidence among stakeholder groups because they will have a clearer picture of the company. A clear and strong image of the company can also increase motivation and morale among employees by allowing people to identify with their organizations through perpetuating a we feeling. Impact. A corporate image provides a basis for being favored by stakeholders. It may have a direct impact on the performance of the company when it leads to stakeholders' support by buying products and services and investing in the company. Stakeholders. Individuals may have multiple roles within an organization. When companies consistently project their image, they also avoid pitfalls. When communication stops, employees might fear that company's integrity is affected or that something bad is happening. Customers might start believing in the fall of the company and stop buying its products. Originally, when we used to talk about corporate identity, we only used to talk about how companies wants to be seen and how they present themselves to the external audiences. Although in the past this term used to only refer to logos or any other visual elements, now it grew up to refer and incorporate sponsorships, brand deals, advertising, and any other elements that are linked in any way to the company. Birkigt and Stadler came up with the first models of corporate image management. Through these three attributes, organizations communicate and project an image of themselves to their stakeholders. Communication practitioners only hold responsibility for corporate symbolism and communication. Product and brand managers are responsible for the positioning of products and services, while human resources monitor employee behavior. Symbolism refers to corporate logos and the company house style of an organization. Communication refers to all planned forms of communication, including corporate advertising, events, sponsorships, publicity, and promotions. Behavior refers to all behavior of employees, from managers to frontline staff, salespeople, and assistants, that leave an impression on stakeholder. Corporate personality is the soul, the persona, the spirit, the culture of the organization. It is not tangible, but its tangible manifestation is the corporate identity. It is the identity that projects and reflects the reality of the corporate personality. So right now, if you're asking yourself how you should decide on the symbolism, the communication and the behavior of the company, remember that everything is linked and every starts from the point of mission and vision of the company. If you didn't know about the mission and vision of a company, you should watch that video first, and I've created a separated video about that. You can watch it by clicking on the info card right here, or you also find the link down in the description below. As a clear distinction between identity and personality, remember that identity involves constructing an image of the organization to differentiate itself and to position itself in the eyes of important stakeholders group. The corporate identity is the distinctive public image that an organization communicates that influences stakeholders' image and reputation of the organization. Corporate branding is known as the most recently added element in image management of the corporations. Usually, when we used to talk about image management, we used to talk about companies managing their identity, their image, and their reputation. However, recently this term of corporate branding came to describe that the companies develop and build reputations with their stakeholders. So first of all, between talking about branding or corporate branding, I need to make clear to you one distinction between brands and corporate branding. So when we talk about corporate branding, we talk about how companies manage their brands. When we talk about brands, we talk about products or about smaller companies. Let's take an example, Coca-Cola. That is the main corporate, right? Coca-Cola owns multiple brands. They own Cola, which is a brand, they own Fanta, they own Sprite, and so on. All of these are brands that are owned by the corporation Coca-Cola, although Coca-Cola is also a brand, yeah, right, the product. So when the company, the main company is so big, we call it a corporation, and the brands become other smaller companies. When the company is smaller, let's just say a small company can own different brands that are just products. So this is the distinction between corporate branding and brands. Also, you need to know that when we talk about branding, we talk about building strong reputations with the stakeholders. So let's see some of the characteristics that represent a good reputation with the stakeholder. Visibility is the degree to which corporates themselves are visible in all internal and external communication. Distinctiveness is the degree to which the corporate identity or positioning of the organization is distinctive. Authenticity is the degree to which an organization communicates values that are embedded in its culture. Transparency is the degree to which an organization is open and transparent about its behavior. Consistency is the degree to which the organizations communicate consistent messages through all internal and external communication channels. So having high levels of this kind of characteristics of visibility, distinctiveness, authenticity, transparency, and consistently will guarantee almost having a good reputation with the stakeholders. Therefore, it will contribute positively to the branding of the company. The principle behind this idea is that it enables an organization to differentiate itself from its competitors and to attain a preferred position in the minds of consumers and other stakeholders. The notion of corporate brands was inspired by Wally Olins, who created the framework displaying the three types of corporate identities: monolithic, endorsed, and branded. Wally Olins suggested that these three main types of identities are the most important ones companies should focus on, so let's see each one individually. The monolithic corporate identity refers to a corporate brand, a structure where all products and services, buildings, official communication, and employees' behavior are labeled or branded with the same company name. Examples include Disney, Coca-Cola, Nike, BMW, and McDonald's. The fully branded identity refers to a structure whereby products and services are brought to the market, each with their own brand name and brand values. However, most of the companies following this branded strategy are now changing their organizations into monolithic corporate brands and endorsed. Endorsed branded identities refer to businesses and products brands that are endorsed or badged with the parent company name. Examples include General Motors, Nestle, or Cadbury. One more step that is important to be talked about when we discuss about the corporate branding, image, reputation, and identity is the alignment between these concepts. So what this means is that you want to know that what you want about your company to be projected is perceived in the same way, and that is the alignment between the image and identity and reputation and how customers or stakeholders perceive this alignment. In order to understand everything you need to know about alignment between identity, image, and reputation of a company, you first need to be familiar with these three concepts. If you are not already, I've created a separated video about them. You can watch it right here in the info card, or also clicking in the links in the description. What companies want to achieve is what we call transparency, or also known as alignment between corporate identity, image, and reputation. What this means is that the board of a company, they think about how the company wants to be seen. Well, if you are not seen the way you want, there is a gap between the alignment on one of these three characteristics. The concept of transparency refers to the internal identity of a company, reflecting positively the expectations of key stakeholders and their beliefs. Consultants and communication practitioners stress the importance of alignments between these concepts: the organizational culture as experienced by employees, the corporate vision as articulated by senior managers, and the corporate image and reputation in the minds of the stakeholders that are external. This figure is a useful way of analyzing the alignment between an organization's vision, culture, and image or reputation that was developed by Hatch and Schultz. The Hatch and Schultz toolkit diagnoses the gaps in a corporation based on 3 elements: vision, senior management's aspirations for the organization; culture, the organization's values as felt and shared by all employees of the organization; and image, the image or impression that outside stakeholders have of the organization. To determine whether there is a vision-culture gap where management moves the organization in a strategic direction that employees do not understand or support. Example, when managers establish a vision that is too ambitious for the organization that is not supported by the employees, you need to ask the following questions. Does the organization practice the values it promotes? Does the organization's vision inspire all its subcultures? Are the organization's vision and culture sufficiently differentiated from those of its competitors? To determine whether there is an image-culture gap which leads to confusion among stakeholders about what a company stands for. Example, employees of the organization may not practice what the company preaches in its advertising, leaving a tarnished image with the stakeholders. You need to ask the following questions. What images do stakeholders associate with the organization? In what ways do its employees and stakeholders interact? Do employees care what stakeholders think of their organization? Finally, to determine whether there is an image-vision gap, where the key objective is to find out whether management is taking the organization in a direction that its stakeholders support. Example, when organizations do not sufficiently listen to their stakeholders and create strategic visions that are not aligned with what stakeholders want or expect from their organization. The questions are: who are the organization's stakeholders? What do the stakeholders want from the organization? And is the organization effectively communicating its vision to its stakeholders? By answering these questions, the companies can manage, and they can also identify if there is a gap between their image, between their vision, and between their culture, so that they can make the needed adjustments. To give you one more reason why the alignment between these 3 elements is so important, is the fact that when your communication does not differentiate your company from the industry, what stakeholders, so what everybody in the society will do, is to associate your company with the industry standards. So if you have a better practice than your competitors, but you do not communicate it correctly because there is a gap between your image and culture, let's say, or between your vision and culture, well, when you have such a gap, the projected image will not stand out for you, and you will only be associated what the industry does. One final important aspect that communication practitioners need to keep in mind is that they should always look at the company's culture and values. When the mission, the vision, and the values of the company are aligned, they only have to gain a massive competitive advantage in the society and in the industry where they operate. This was everything for this video. I hope it helped you understand why alignment between image, identity, and reputation is so important. I hope you understood the term of culture within the organization, how employees relate to that, and also if you want to learn more about communicating, about corporate communication or marketing, keep watching my videos on my channel. Before watching the other videos on my channel, give me a second. If you are an entrepreneur or you manage a company, you might want to listen to this because I want to help you. If you own your own company or freshly opened a company or you're managing one, in the links down in the description in the resources tab, I've created a manual that explains step by step how to create an authentic and personal business plan for your company. And not just that, I've created a step-by-step manual that explains you all the information you need to know and all the steps you need to go through to also create a communication strategy and a marketing strategy for your company. It will be the best investment you can make in your company, how you can manage the communication and manage the marketing of your company by having a by-the-book business plan. Remember that you can always support me by buying me a coffee. There is a link down in the description for that. I drink quite some coffee when creating these videos, researching the information, filming the videos, and also editing them so you can watch them for free. And also there is the classic way of saying thank you for this effort by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leave a comment down in the comment section because it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. You know how YouTube go nowadays. Well, this was everything for this video. I hope it helped you. Check the links in the description and I'll see you at the next one.